Markets pulled back today, but honestly, this didn't feel like panic. It felt more like the market is taking a breath after yesterday's huge move. Semis got hit pretty hard. AMD down 3%, Intel down 3%, Micron down 3. And the weird part is Goldman Sachs actually raised AMD's price target this morning. So the question is, why does Wall Street get more bullish while the stock still drops? Because that tells you a lot about the kind of market we're in right now. So let's start with what actually moved the market. And if you find this useful, please consider subscribing, because once you understand where the money actually flowed today, tomorrow's charts and the key levels traders will be watching start making a lot more sense. So first, let's zoom out. Yesterday, the market closed at fresh highs basically across the board. S&P, NASDAQ, Dow, everything was stretched coming into today. So this session really wasn't about bad news. It was digestion. Small caps got hit the hardest, which, usually tells you traders are pulling back risk a little. Oil stayed under pressure too, as the Iran headlines kept cooling off. So overall, this felt more like profit taking than real fear, which is a very positive sign. Now, inside the tape, the biggest move was clearly semis. And what's important is actually nothing broke. No earning miss, no major downgrade, no collapse in the story. Actually, AMD's thesis probably got stronger today. Goldman raised the target. The AI demand story is still there, but after a massive move yesterday, money started coming out of the trade. And this happens all the time after big momentum sessions. The easy move gets made, short-term traders lock profits, and the group cools off for a day, and that's it. So this wasn't really the market saying AMD is bad or semiconductor is bad or AI play is bad. It was just the market saying the short-term trade got crowded. And while semis cooled off, Tesla quietly went the other way. Stock was up more than 3% and reclaimed that 400 area we have been talking about on this channel for several days. And this is important because it tells you money didn't leave tech. It rotated inside tech. That's the real story, not breakdown, rotation. And honestly, this is where a lot of traders get trapped. They think good news automatically means green stock. It doesn't. The market cares about expectations. AMD today, Palantir earlier this week, same lesson. Strong story, strong fundamentals, but once expectations get too high, even good news stops being enough because the move already happened before the catalyst. So it's not just, is this company good? It's what was already priced in before the news came out. That's a completely different question. Now, going into tomorrow, everything shifts to the jobs report. That's the big catalyst. Because if labor comes in hotter than expected, yields probably move higher again, and that could pressure tech. But if the numbers come in softer, this market probably tries pushing higher again after today's pause. And one thing I'll say, don't get trapped chasing the first move after the report. Those opening reactions fade all the time. Look out for 9:45 to 10:15 Eastern Time. That's usually where the real positioning starts to show up. So right now, this still looks more like a rotation than breakdown, and tomorrow's report probably decides whether this market resets or goes higher. So we'll see what it happens tomorrow. Now, we're going to be covering some important key levels. So let's start looking at those one by one. Starting with MU. MU, a decent pullback, but it is still trading above the 628, the accumulation zone we have identified since last two trading sessions. So as long as the first test on MU would be the 628, as long as it's trading above 628, the bullish momentum is still there. For all it matters, this could just consolidate and eventually break to the upside or to the downside. No matter which direction it goes, we'll pay very close attention. But the 628, it's going to be a critical level. If it does break 628, then watch out for 605. That would be the most significant spot for buying any meaningful pullbacks on MU. The next stock is Oracle, and Oracle has been just amazing stock as well. Notice how this descending trend line ever since it tapped once here, twice here, and we have been following this break of this trend lines ever since it started trading above $172, which happened to be the previous triple top resistance on Oracle. So ever since it broke out of that $172 area, we have been tracking it, we have been following it. In fact, this day we also traded this stock. Right now, this is just pushing higher, and it's good to see that it eventually broke out of this descending trend line. Yesterday we talked about the importance of $192, how if this is going to be the most bullish scenario where it gaps up and pulls back into $192 and then maybe consolidates, and that's exactly what happened today. Today it sold off, but it held above $192, so that tells us that this has a lot of bullish momentum. But if you look at the pre-markets after our session, right now it's trading below $192, which is fine because the next level, the next support level that we're watching on Oracle would be $184. That would be a very nice spot to load up on some of the Oracle's stock or options. But if it trades any below, if it loses 184, then the next target would be $180. But anything below $180, then the situation changes a little bit. We're just focusing on bullish momentum, and right now the bullish momentum, we're gonna just pay very close attention to $184. And if we get any deeper pullback, then $180. As long as we're trading above those two levels, the bullish thesis is still strong, and we're looking for the target at $200. Moving along, Amazon, just we've been weak. We've been talking about that overall. This stock has been just weak. It's unable to break above 274, and that still applies even today. You can see like how many times it has attempted to break above 274, but it just looks like it's hitting wall every time it tries to break 274. So right now this makes sense that we're getting that pullback, and in fact we talked about getting some sort of a meaningful pullback on Amazon. Watch out for 264. That would be a really good spot to load up on some longs as long as the price action supports that. But I'm watching 264 for any meaningful pullback for Amazon. Right now, for any bullish case, it has to be trading above 274 for any continuation play. Moving on, Palantir. Palantir, you know, we've been tracking this ever since it came out with earnings, and although the earnings was fine, but the expectations from the analyst is just so high that the stock has been just selling off ever since it announced its earning. So this is the day of after the earnings, and you can see it just gap down. Right now we're tracking two price levels on Palantir. Palantir right now is weak, so the thesis on Palantir is we look for further weakness to short Palantir. So the key levels that we're watching, yesterday we were watching $134.50. That's a key level where if it loses that level, then we're looking for short. But yesterday we had a candle that was inconclusive. It didn't give us clear indication of weakness or strength, so we just left it at B. But today you can see it actually gapped up, was trading above $134. And right now it seems to be holding $134, so we're going to just leave Palantir do its thing. Right now, there is no trade on Palantir. Our thesis is still to the bear side on this, so we're going to just wait for a little bit more weaker price action on Palantir. When the thesis changes, and for that to happen, Palantir has to be trading above 143. If Palantir starts trading above $143, then we're going to revisit and look at our different scenario, and in that case we'll be looking for bullish scenario. But right now we're just looking at bear case for Palantir, and today we had no signal on Palantir, so this is just going to be in close watch until we get a clear signal to short this. Moving along, Tesla. I've been talking about Tesla ever since this move here, and we have been tracking this $385 as a key support on Tesla, and it's great to see that 385 held for so many days before it finally broke out of $400. Tesla has been trying to break $400 level for the past few days, and every time it goes, it gets rejected. The bids keep stacking up and the stock gets pushed down very, very fast. But today, finally, Tesla actually gapped up above $400, which was very refreshing to see. So this is still a very strong stock. We're tracking this. If you look at the weekly time frame, this is actually forming a bull flag. So our target on Tesla is 425. That's our short-term target on Tesla. Once we start getting to 425, I'll have some fresh levels for you at that point of time. But right now, this break on Tesla is absolutely phenomenal, and we're going for that $425 target. If you get any pullback tomorrow on Tesla, watch out for $400. As long as Tesla is trading above $400, I think the momentum is still good. But for whatever reasons, if Tesla loses the 400, then look for 394 to hold support. So those two levels we're going to be watching very closely. If we get a pullback, look for 400. Any deeper pullback, look for 394. But if we get a continuation play on Tesla tomorrow, then in that case, Tesla should and must hold $408 for the continuation move higher. Moving along, we're looking at Meta. Meta has been just going sideways. There are no trades on Meta at this point of time. It's just channel bound. So whether it breaks to the upside or to the downside, that's something we'll have to wait and watch. But Meta does have a lot of weakness for the time being. But if Meta can break above 623, then the thesis will change. But right now, the thesis is weak. The thesis is that we're looking for bearish entries on it. The name is bearish right now, so we're going to leave it as is because there is no trade on it right now. It's just trading sideways. Moving along, we got NVIDIA, and again, we talked about this as well, the importance of $207 level, and it's really good to see that actually NVIDIA opened right at $207 and it held support and it tried to push towards 212, which was very good to see. So if somebody bought this when it held 207, congratulations to you. Right now, NVIDIA has a lot of momentum. So we're going to just keep watching the $207. So if we get any meaningful pullbacks right back to $207.50, those are all very good buyable opportunities. In fact, even if we get a deeper pullback to $203, that is also considered a very good buyable opportunity for the long side on NVIDIA. So we're watching very closely. NVIDIA will definitely be a top watch along with Tesla heading into tomorrow and for the rest of the week. Moving along, Microsoft. So Microsoft, ever since it tried to break this descending trend line here, you can see that it tried to break through out of that. Right now it did double bottom and it broke out of it. And for the past several days, Microsoft has been trading around $413. That is a very critical level on Microsoft. And notice how even though it's just consolidating around $413, it is hugging around that descending trend line. So that's a very positive sign on Microsoft. And if I show you the weekly chart, it's pretty similar to what Tesla is doing. So if I show you Tesla, you notice how it's forming that flag here, and then it eventually broke out this candle. So Microsoft is doing something similar. So it's consolidating, so it's forming that flag, and eventually at some point, either it's going to break to the upside with a high probability, but for whatever reason, it could also break down. But the high probability is break to the upside. So we're just watching for that very closely. And one of the levels that I have here is $422. Notice how Microsoft today tried trading above $422. It just couldn't hold it, and it kind of rolled over. So the 422 is the line in sand. As long as Microsoft holds 422, okay? As long as Microsoft holds and trades above 422, that's definitely a long on Microsoft. It has proved itself that it can hold support around $413, so that's a very positive sign. Moving along, Google. Google had a pretty tricky day today. Since the breakout here, $383.50, that's the breakout that Google was trying to break for a few days and eventually broke out. So right now, Google is just floating higher and higher. There are no entries. If you didn't get in yesterday, right now there is no entry on Google. So you have to just let it be. If Google pulls back to $383, back into those areas, then we can see if the previous resistance can turn into support, and then we can possibly think about dip buying it, but the price action will have to support that as well. Right now, Google is just floating. I don't really have any specific targets right now, just Google just floating. But if it does pull back, like I said, $383.50, that would be a top watch on Google. Moving along, Apple. What a amazing day on Apple, but it kind of like just turned, like it gapped up at its all-time high. It was going and it broke its all-time high and then kind of rolled over. And part of the rollover is because of the overall weakness in the market. So that contributed to that rollover. And I must admit, like, this doesn't look good when a stock tries to attempt at breaking its all-time high to have a closure like this. It is a little bit alarming, but we will have to keep everything in check. The trend is still bullish. So for all you know, I mean, this right now is trading at 287. So that is or was a very strong resistance in the past. But right now it is trading around that area. So we'll see if it actually holds support at $287 heading into tomorrow, so that it can eventually make a push higher towards $300. So we're going to just watch $287. What happens to it tomorrow? So Apple will be a top watch as well heading into tomorrow. I want to see it hold 287, but for whatever reason, if it rolls over, then just watch out for 280. In this trend, 280 should hold support, but if it loses 280, then the thesis changes a little bit. But for bullish case, the most bullish case would be 287 support, and the second bullish case would be dip buy at $280 for a move towards all-time high. Moving along, we have Intel. So most of the semis had an inside day, so it just kind of just traded, really just didn't go anywhere. So the only couple areas I'm watching on Intel is first one is the $107. That would be a critical level. We are testing that in after hours. So if we get any bit more of a pullback, watch for $100. For any trend continuation move, $100, that would be absolutely critical on Intel. As long as it's trading above $100, I think momentum is still very strong. So just watch out for those. The first deeper pullback, you're looking at $100, but prior to $100, look for 107. Can it actually sustain 107 heading into tomorrow? So that's something I will be watching. All the semis are my top watch. Moving along, AMD. Similar thesis. I've been talking about the importance of $403 as a critical level on AMD, and look, it tested this level, but it never closed underneath it. So the bullish scenario is still intact. As long as AMD is trading above 403, I think this has a very good shot at getting to $430. So that this move was very refreshing to see that it actually held 403. If for whatever reason AMD loses 403, then it opens the door for a further downside, which could actually push the stock down towards 365 or so. But as long as it's trading above $400, I think the bullish momentum is still alive. So those are all the names that I wanted to cover. But in fact, let me just cover the overall markets as well. So these are Qs. And right now, like the Qs, I got like a couple levels. So if we get any bit of pullback, watch for $686 to hold support on Qs. Any upside, look for 696. So these are the levels on Qs. For SPY, I have 728 as the bullish trend continuation support area, which it's getting tested, almost getting tested there. So watch out for 728. If we get any bit more deeper pullback than 728, then look for 725. So the key dip buying opportunities on SPY right now, 728 and 725. And of course, we're looking for the break above 734. Let's also look at SMH, Semiconductor. So this one is also pulling back. As long as we're trading above 532, the bullish trend is intact. If we lose 532, then we obviously go into a deeper pullback, which will take us to $510. And then if we get to that level, then we may enter into consolidation phase for pretty much all the semis. So for bullish momentum to stay alive, this needs to be trading. This 532 needs to hold. So that's it for all the names I wanted to cover. So I hope that you liked all the information that I covered and the levels were clear to follow. If you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, take care. Bye for now.